So I want to share a story that really moved me about one woman's uh, efforts in this direction, in offering that kind of atmosphere of loving and listening. And this is a story you can find in True Refuge. I wrote it up there. And in this particular situation, this woman had gone to workshop and done some training in deep listening, and she decided she was going to try it with her mother. Now, her mother, Audrey, was a well-known writer. She was very wealthy. She was successful, brilliant, incredibly narcissistic. Some of her friends even referred to her as the center of the known universe. So it was like, anyway, and she treated people as kind of orbiting satellites and so on, as an audience she could regale with stories. And she was a great storyteller. Um, but their role was to let her shine. And so her oldest daughter had gone to the West Coast and decided she never wanted to come home again. And this woman was, not quite as alienated. And when professional training was offered in the area where her mother lived, she decided she'd stay with her mother, stay on a little bit, and just practice this deep listening. So that was her very intentional project. And it was going to be for 10 days, which is the longest visit with her mother since she left for college. Now, during the time together, her name was Kate, by the way. When she started, she found tremendous amount of resistance going on in her, a lot of judgment. Her mother made her feel unimportant, and she felt like she was going to get suffocated by all her mother taking up all the air, and that she just was barely existing. And it was really challenging for her. So her first process was to inwardly listen and just acknowledge and be kind towards her own resistances. So I often teach forgiven, not to make herself wrong for the reactivity. So she did that. She just noticed her own judgments and reactions, and on some level was with them. And that created a little more space for her to begin to be with her mother. And she would coach herself, and she would say, now, what is happening? My mother is talking. I'm quiet. There's endless time. I hear it, every word, and what is beyond the word. I hear who she is. She'd use those kind of phrases to keep herself right here. There's enough time. I'm listening. I'm listening to what's behind the words. I'm listening to who she is. You understand? Like this really... It got easier for her to hear what was behind her mother's words. She began to hear desperation, as if her mother was insisting over and over again, I'm here and I matter. I'm here and I matter, which is, what the narcissistic, there's an emptiness, a hole. So there's like, I'm here and I matter. And as she took in the pain of that desperation, that's when she started really caring, started really feeling her own compassion. And so somehow through her presence, she was able to communicate, you're here and you matter. You're here and you matter. And her mother started to relax, and she knew it because there were longer pauses between the stories and the commentary, and her mother sat back in her chair more and looked out the window and seemed more reflective, slowed down some. Several days before she was going to leave, her mother began to tell her that she felt alone and unappreciated. And this is when Kate responded in a really sincere way, a very gentle and honest way. And she said, Mom, it's because you don't listen to people. Her mother froze, but she didn't get defensive, because Kate had been so many moments offering this uncritical sympathy that a trust had been established. So it wasn't an attack. It was a caring reflection of truth. Her mother wanted to know more. She said, please tell me, I need to know. And Kate told her. She explained how it had been for her sister and for their dad and now for her stepdad. When you don't listen, people feel like they don't matter, like they're not known. And it's true, you can't know them if you don't listen. You can't be close. Audrey looked at her daughter with a sorrow and understanding that pierced Kate's heart, and something changed. Now maybe it was the pain of alienation that broke through her defenses, or it was simply her time. But she knew something needed to change. somehow or other this creative fountain was getting unclogged, and others noticed. After her sister's visit, they all got together for the holiday. She told Kate, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was a real person to her, that I existed. But the change was most poignant with her mom's new husband, her stepfather. They started doing things together again, the long dinners and evening walks that had ended shortly after their marriage. Kate's mother was no longer speaking to demand the world's attention. She was speaking and listening in order to belong with other people, to share their lives. So her fountain was unclogging, and she was becoming more real.